Hey guys, what's going on? This is Pantheon, and today we'll be doing a video on patch 6.18 and going through the changes. Now this patch is going to be quite small and a lot of small buffs are coming to some champions as well as nerfs. So don't expect too much coming from this patch. And also this video will be sponsored by Pro Guys. Check them out for all your rank game needs, and if you need some coaching or whatever, you can talk to them if you want. Anyways, with all that being said, let's get started. Alright, so first up, let's talk about something I found kind of cool, although I'm not going to buy it, but Pantheon is getting a baker skin, which, you know, that's pretty cool, since he's always wanted to be a baker. But there's only some sound effect changes and that's about it. But it is interesting to see after like 5 years or whatever, for how long this champion has been released, he finally gets a baker skin. Alright, so first up is going to be Gnar. As you can see, the cooldown on his E has gone up on the lower levels, and his damage on his W has been lowered by 5. Which I don't think is a big deal, but the cooldown change on his E is pretty big because he doesn't max out his E second, so it's gonna be, 4 seconds up for the majority of the game. So with these nerfs, I think his win rate will go down about 1.337%. Might be a little bit higher, but we'll just have to see. Next up is going to be Shen, and this buff is actually really interesting as the lifesteal and spell vamp on his W has increased by 5% at all ranks. So that means his sustain will be higher from levels 1 to 6. Not quite doubled because you gotta include the machete, but you're gonna see his hit point a little bit higher when he comes out of the jungle. So I think this is actually like a pretty big buff in my opinion, and since all of the other junglers have been nerfed, I feel like he's gonna be more meta. The sad thing about this though is I don't play Shen, so that's gonna be quite a problem. With this buff, I think he'll go up by 1%, maybe 2%, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna say 1%, just because it's only 5%, but maybe it might induce something where he can gank more like in his early levels. And I feel like it's such a big buff for his early game, but it doesn't really do too much in the mid game and late game, but it is still a pretty interesting buff, and I want to see how he's going to be played out. Next up is going to be Rek'Sai, and you can see she is getting a nerf. A Jarvan nerf that I don't like. If you guys don't know what happened to Jarvan, basically he got his armor nerfed and then he was never seen in the jungle again after that. So this might be the same thing that might happen to Rek'Sai, as I'm pretty sure the armor nerf was around 4, but yeah, this seems like a huge nerf. She does get the armor kind of back later once she hits level 18, but by that time it is a little too late. Anyways, with these nerfs coming to her, I feel she is gonna be a shitty champion and her win rate will go down by 2%, maybe a little bit more. And yeah, she probably won't be played at all. Next up is gonna be Shen. You can see his passive base shield. You can see his passive base shield is going down and it's not as strong anymore. But look at his Q. You can see the damage has been lowered on both sides of the Q by 1%. Or in a different perspective, 3%. Since you auto attack 3 times. So in a different perspective, it looks like from 15% to 12% on the first Q, and if you get the enhanced Q, it went from 21% to 18%. So it's not as impactful if you get the enhanced Q, but if you miss your Spirit Blade, then your Q is shit. Just a little bit. With these nerfs coming to Shen, I think he will fall out of flavor, and someone like Malphite or someone big and tanky will take his place. Anyways, I think his win rate will go down by 1.5%. Maybe you just might see different top laners. Alright, so next up is gonna be Taliyah. Look at her Q, no more extra damage to minions, and now her E does 30 less damage. This is only the part where you activate your E, and if people stay on your E after 4 seconds, those are the 2 parts I got nerfed, so I don't know if people stay on the trap after 4 seconds, so I don't think that part matters, but obviously the initial damage matters. But this doesn't affect the part where you dash through it and the traps activate. So it is an interesting nerf. I'm not sure how much the Q nerf actually affects her, but the E damage, you can say it's only about 30 instead of 60. With this nerf coming in, I think her win rate will drop by 2.0%. My question is, why play her after this patch when you can play like Cassiopeia or a bunch of other mids that haven't been nerfed? You might see her if the nerf on her Q is a lot, but I don't know how that affects the laning phase. Next up, let's get right into the Vladimir. As you can see, Vladimir has received some nerfs. The cooldown on his E is lowered by 4 seconds at rank 1. I'm pretty sure that affects him in some bad way, but I don't know how much that actually affects him since I do not know how his laning phase works. But this is interesting, his health cost has been changed to 8%, so if you have 3000 health, you save 60 health when you use your E, which isn't a big fucking deal, I think. But of course in the laning phase, it does kind of matter. But his base health is reduced by 25, his late game and mid game is still there, and I'm pretty sure you might see him in competitive still, but I'm gonna say I predict a 1.8% decrease in his win rate. Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna be playing solo queue still, probably, but yo, that cooldown nerf on his E seems a little big. And of course 25 less health means he's gonna be a little bit more vulnerable. Next up we have Yasuo. Look at all these nerfs and buffs and nerfs. So first of all, attack speed growth has been lowered by 0.7, but his base attack speed has been increased to 6.7, which means he scales with attack speed just a little better, although not that much better. I don't really know the math, but I'm pretty sure it's not too much of a buff in terms of attack speed. Also, one thing I did not know was that his Q is interruptible by crowd control. I didn't even know that this was a thing and it's just being added to the tooltip. Also, his ultimate now only applies on critical strikes rather than all attacks. So that way you have to go 100% crit to make use of that armor penetration. Otherwise, you can't do it anymore, and I'm wondering if that bug with his ultimate has been fixed and maybe his win rate will go from, you know, super high to maybe mediocre, but we'll have to see. Anyways, I think his win rate, not include, I can't even do it for this one because it's kind of weird since there is a bug with his ultimate, but I guess it'll be around like 48% since you can't go like the tank Yasuo build and be super up and now have to rely on critical strikes. Next up, we have Frozen Mallet. So all that's changing is the health is being increased by 50, while the attack damage is being decreased by 10. Also, recipe is a little different. Kind of interesting, but don't fuck up when you buy the components. Next up is going to be Relic Shield, and they're lowering the heal from 20 to 15. Take note that this isn't the Targon or the Eye of Equinox or any of that big upgrades, it's just the first one. And I find it pretty interesting that they're doing something like this, even though I didn't think the Relic Shield was OP. I guess it is, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, I guess no more healing coming from the support as much. I honestly think that the girl supports, aka Janna, Soraka, Nami, etc. are all OP, and those characters need a nerf. Oh yeah, and one last thing that's happening in this patch is Yorick is being released. The rework Yorick, not this shitty Yorick. I do have footage of the new Yorick, but like, it's kind of corrupted, so that kind of sucks. Well, it's just in a flash format and not an MP4. But like, I don't know, I don't like the new Yorick. I think he's pretty shit, to be honest. His new ultimate is stupid because it just runs off and runs down the lane, as well as his minions, and his W is easily killable if you just auto attack it twice, although I think they changed it. And you have to use your Q on minions to actually get these minions to come up. So I think the new Yorick is actually worse than the old Yorick, and this new Yorick is actually complete shit, but we'll have to see because I'm usually proven wrong. Anyways, that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did like this video, make sure to leave a like. And if you didn't, make sure to subscribe. Anyways, I am Pantheon Dragon, and I'll see you guys next time.
Trying to shove it.
Ah, they can't stop me. Watch this. Ha ha! Oh, I don't.
What the fuck?
I don't.
Oh well. Well, that happened.